Good morning, friends. This morning session is dedicated to class 10, and I'm just elaborating poem 3, that is A Tiger in the Zoo by Leslie Norris. I'm just going to highlight the poem and just portray some of the important points of the poem A Tiger in the Zoo by Leslie Norris. Well, first of all, you would like to ask, sir, what does this poem talk about? This poem talks about the life of a tiger in a cage, the life of a tiger in a captivity. It talks about how, what is the mental condition of a tiger in a caged condition. When a tiger is there in the caged condition, in a in a zoo, caged zoo, how does he feel? The poet wants to, I mean, portray the mental condition of a tiger in a caged zoo. She has been confined to live in a limited area. He stalks and walks along a limited length, and therefore the poet very appropriately compares the mental condition of a tiger in a cage due to that of a tiger in a natural habitat. There is a contrast between freedom and captivity. See, like any other creature, like any other, living being, even tiger longs to have freedom and walk along the forest without any fear. The tiger doesn't like any kind of captivity. What to say? No animal, no living being likes captivity. So there is a sharp contrast between captivity and freedom. Every living being longs to have freedom, and therefore love for freedom is a natural instinct of every living being, and that's what has been highlighted very appropriately in this poem by Leslie Norris. The poet says that he stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of the cage on pads of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. The tiger, who has been caged in the zoo, is not at all happy. He is compelled to walk along a limited length of the zoo, limited length of the cage. He is not free to walk in the natural surrounding. His stripes on his body are quite glittering and can be seen from a distance, but there is a sense of anger in his eyes that can be well visible when he is trying to show his anger by being confined to the cage inside the zoo. The tiger doesn't feel happy being caged in the cell. It is a very small cage, and the tiger is hardly taking a few steps along the length of the cage, which is very, very small. He looks, majestic as he walks, but all his majestic look is of no avail because he is confined to a small area. His pads are velvet soft. In spite of all this strength, he is helpless and he is imprisoned in the in the cell, and therefore the caged tiger is angry. He is full of rage and anger only because he is not allowed to have the freedom of wandering in his natural habitat. So in the very first stanza also, the poet is emphasizing upon the mental condition of the tiger, who is a bit angry being confined to a small cage, and he is compelled to walk along a limited length of the cage, and though he is having his majestic look and having a greater strength and velvet soft pad, in spite of all the beauty and majestic look, he is helpless because he is confined to the cell in the cage of the zoo. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass near the water hole where plump deer pass. In the second stanza, the poet is imagining what could have been the condition of the tiger if he would have been free to have the natural habitat. Certainly, he would be hiding behind the grasses just to catch the deer, a healthy deer. That would be his victim, his prey. He would be certainly hiding behind the grasses and waiting for his chance to attack on a healthy deer. So, the second stanza is just the poet's imagination that what could have been the condition of the tiger if he would have been allowed to be in his natural habitat. Certainly, he would have been hiding in the grasses, waiting for his chance to pounce upon a deer. And in the third stanza, he should be snarling around the houses at the jungle. In the third stanza, in these lines, the poet imagines what the tiger would be doing in case he is not allowed to live in his natural habitat. Certainly, he will move towards the villages and he would be growling at the edge of the jungle near some of the villages, and he would be showing his white fangs and terrible claws while moving here and there towards the village. The poet here gives a hint that if we do not allow the tiger to live in his natural habitat, he will certainly turn towards the village and he will be danger for the safety of the people. Now, in the third and fourth stanza, the poet says that the tiger is locked in a concrete cell in the zoo, and therefore he is quite silent. Despite all his strength, he lies imprisoned and silent, doesn't show any, a strength, outburst of strength, though he is angry and therefore he is threatening the visitors. He is completely fed up and ignores the visitor because the whole day he has not taken rest, giving the entertainment to the visitors. And in the last stanza, the poet, gives and leaves behind a message to all of us that the tiger must be allowed to live in the natural habitat and enjoy the freedom, because it is quite natural that any creature loves to have freedom. This is a natural instinct of every tiger, every animal, that he should be allowed to be free. The repetition in a poetic device is a poetic word used by the poet in this poem to increase the intensity of the tiger's rage and anger and his helplessness. The silence and the helplessness shown by the tiger, or shown in by the poet for the tiger, is quite evident, because when he's walking around in a limited space, he's completely angry. His anger has been emphasized by the poetic device repetition. So his ferocity and anger has been built with the help of repetition, the poetic device repetition. The word quite has been repeated. Therefore, it shows that the poet has made the beauty in the poem by use of repetition. There is another, word that is there. His bright eyes looking at bright stars. So certainly the poet has tried to bring out a magnificent, image in this poem by saying that the tiger's bright eyes were looking at the brilliant stars. With his brilliant eyes, brilliant stars. So this, use of the beautiful words, of course, bring out a beauty in the poem, and that is all about this poem, A Tiger in the Zoo. And the message behind the poem is that we should allow the animals to live in their natural habitat. We should not encroach their natural living place. We should not intervene into their freedom, because every living being has a natural instinct, and that is love for freedom. And that is what has been depicted in this poem, A Tiger in the Zoo, by Leslie Norris. Thank you. Have a nice day ahead. Thanks a lot.